why Christopher Nolan doesn't use CGI.
I find CGI, however versatile it is, but it always tends to feel a little safe to me. I think if you want something to have a bit of bite, if you want the imagery to have a bit of threat, even if it's a miniature, even if it's something very fake, but something real on camera, I think it gives you a better result.
What if Christopher Nolan directed The Avengers?
Whoa. Not liking to use CG, would you be prepared to get on one of those jetpacks, the ones they make for real that do the...
Yeah, if Christopher Nolan had directed The Avengers, we would still be shooting it.
Only one man could have made this film, and only one man can bring it to you tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Christopher Nolan!
My life is like a Christopher Nolan movie. I don't really understand what's going on.
What would you tell him or her?
I'd say don't try to understand it, just feel it. When you're starting out particularly, you have to play to your strengths. You have to do something that really excites you. I am a big believer in being sincere about your passion for something. I grew up loving Hollywood blockbusters, and for me it's really a process of trying to recreate that magic.
You didn't go to film school. This is
No,
what you did.
I couldn't get in.
Couldn't get in. So were you watching other movies too?
I've always watched movies. I mean, I've always been a student of films. And I think it was Stanley Kubrick who basically said, if you want to learn how to make a film, just make a film. And that was sort of my approach. I started making films when I was 7 years old on Super 8, you know, and I never really stopped. I didn't go to film school, so for me, it was a much more raw process of enjoying films and experiencing narratives. But I started making films when I was very young. I was 7 years old. I think I started borrowing my dad's Super 8 camera and making little, you know, I wouldn't even call them films really, but just shooting images and putting them together and experimenting with what that could do. So for me, the things have always, the practice and the theory have always been in parallel. And I think that's a good way to approach something like that, because it's a complicated, infinitely complex craft, really.
Sure.
So you learn by doing. I mean, I think it was Stanley Kubrick who famously said the best way to learn how to make films is to make a film. Certainly that was my path, was doing and then thinking about it and looking at other people's work, and that would inform the process. For me, everything I did to do with the camera, to do with editing, was useful experience and stuff that paid off when I came to actually, you know, make features. I just carried on making films as I grew up, and over the years they got bigger, hopefully better, but more elaborate. And there never really was a period in my life where I completely stopped doing that. So I was always moving up, eventually from Super 8 to 16mm films. Pretty much every film I've ever worked on at every scale has had massive stakes to it one way or another. All filmmaking is intelligent compromise. That's the whole process we go through. I enjoy the multifaceted nature of the challenge. I enjoy having to be an expert on a lot of different things, or having to pretend to be an expert on a lot of different things. One of the things I love about directing is you don't specialize. You have to be able to really think of all the different aspects of the film at the same time. It's also important to surround yourself with collaborators who can take the pressure off certain aspects of it, and casting's a huge part of that. You know, finding actors. Some of the great actors I've worked with on the Dark Knight trilogy, for example, who, you know, they would recognize that, yes, we're also having to worry about flipping this truck or blowing this building up, you know, whatever. So their process would be balanced against that, and working with very generous performers was a big part of that. So I really do enjoy the challenge of putting together a lot of different aspects of one project and trying to be in control of that. It's a really fun thing.
In the great tradition of these speeches, generally what happens is the speaker says something along the lines of, you need to chase your dreams. But I'm not going to say that because I don't believe it. I don't want you to chase your dreams. I want you to chase your reality. And I want you to understand that you chase your reality not at the expense of your dreams, but as the foundation of your dreams. Our dreams are virtual realities, these abstractions that we enjoy and we surround ourselves with. They are subsets of reality. Reality matters. It won't be transcended. We live in the real world. We deal in the real world. In whatever field you're going off to work in, I think looking at fundamentals, looking at how people are really affected by what you do, I think you have limitless potential.
I mean, on my films, I try to shoot as much in camera as possible. It's so much more fun to do it. It's fun for the actors, it's fun for me. There's nothing more dispiriting than when you turn up to work and there's just a green screen with a couple of actors in front of it. It's really, the magic's not there. So trying to do these things for real, trying to use real locations. I've always preferred real locations to sets for the same reason. There's a feeling of reality.